The official notice was pinned right next to the time clock. The pencil line test is strictly forbidden. It was the height of World War II, and everyone at the North American aviation plant was focused on churning out P-51 Mustang fighter planes. But 19-year-old Rosie the Riveter, a sharp-eyed assembly line worker named Clara, couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. She had devised a bizarre, unsanctioned test, a single thin pencil line drawn across a critical bolt that she swore could detect sabotage. The foreman laughed, the managers threatened to fire her, and then a horrifying discovery was made. Her little pencil line had not only been disturbed, but had potentially exposed 18 fighter planes secretly designed to fail in midair. This is the true story of how an instinctual act of defiance, using nothing more than a simple drawing tool, saved the lives of dozens of American pilots and uncovered one of the most chilling acts of espionage during the war. The North American aviation assembly line was a deafening, dizzying world of metal, sweat, and patriotic urgency. Every plane rolling out the door meant another chance to turn the tide in Europe. Clara, like hundreds of other women, focused on the complex wing structures of the legendary P-51. Her job was to inspect and secure the bolts connecting the crucial aileron control surface to the main wing spar, a connection that, if faulty, meant catastrophic control failure. She was fast, meticulous, and incredibly observant. Over several weeks, she started noticing a pattern that made her stomach churn. Certain bolts, after being torqued and secured, seemed to loosen slightly overnight. Or even worse, the nuts appeared to have been swapped out for older, slightly weaker ones. It was subtle, invisible to the casual eye, and impossible to prove without taking the entire wing apart. But Clara was certain. How could she prove deliberate systematic failure without disrupting the urgent pace of wartime production? That's when she devised her pencil line test. It was brilliantly simple. Using a sharp pencil, she would draw a single, continuous, straight line across the top of the nut, down the side of the bolt, and onto the adjacent metal frame of the wing spar. If the nut were loosened, removed, or swapped out, even by a hair, the line would be instantly broken, the graphite smudge visibly misaligned. It was a clear, undeniable sign that someone had tampered with her work. The first time she used it, she marked 20 planes scheduled to ship out the next morning. When she checked them early the next day, the line on one plane, Mustang 304, was visibly broken. She reported it. The foreman dismissed it as a production error, maybe a vibration. He retorqued the bolt and wiped the area clean. Clara knew better. She remarked the bolt, and the following morning the line was broken again. This time, her insistence led to a small investigation, revealing that the nut was indeed a substandard alloy, designed to vibrate loose under extreme stress, a fatal flaw that would only manifest during high-G maneuvers. But the moment she proved her test worked, the management tried to shut her down, afraid of the panic and the slowdown her investigation would cause. The new official order banning the test came down the following day. Unnecessary markings cause confusion and slow down inspection, the memo read. Clara knew it was an attempt to silence her, to dismiss her as a hysterical woman distracting from the war effort. But the chilling truth of Mustang 304 was heavy on her conscience. She had seen the list of pilots assigned to that squadron. She couldn't stop. She started doing the test in secret, using a lighter, fainter graphite that was almost invisible. She became a ghost on the line, marking her bolts late at night during shift change, her heart pounding with every soft scratch of the pencil. Over the next 4 days, she found the lines broken on another 5 planes. She started documenting the serial numbers and the exact location of the compromised fasteners on a small, hidden notepad. It was a terrifying, solitary vigil. She was fighting a hidden enemy, an enemy within, whose motive was not profit but destruction. The mounting evidence of widespread tampering soon reached a critical mass, forcing a confrontation that would expose the dark heart of the sabotage. The breakthrough came when a seasoned plant security officer, a man named Mr. Harrington, noticed Clara's withdrawn demeanor and her constant furtive glances at her section. When he cornered her, she didn't deny it. Instead, she opened her notepad, her hand shaking. "They told me to stop, Mr. Harrington, but look at this. These are the serial numbers, 18 of them so far. It's always the same bolt, and always a nut that looks right but is made of brittle iron, not steel." She showed him her method, drawing a line on a plane designated for immediate shipment. Mr. Harrington, a man who believed in hard evidence, was immediately captivated by the sheer simplicity of the test. He ordered a full teardown inspection of the 18 planes Clara had flagged. The results were devastating. On every single one of those aircraft, the critical aileron control surface was either under-torqued, fitted with a non-standard brittle nut, or both. It was a massive, sophisticated operation designed to introduce a delayed, fatal weakness into the fleet. The pencil line test had turned an invisible crime into an undeniable fact, and the hunt for the saboteur was now on.
The investigation revealed that the culprit was a seemingly innocuous night shift janitor, a sleeper agent who'd been quietly accessing the assembly floor after hours, meticulously swapping out the nuts with pre-supplied, weaker counterparts. The agent confessed that the goal was to inflict psychological damage and disrupt the Allied air campaign by making the pilots lose faith in their aircraft, a far more insidious strategy than simple bombing. Clara's keen eye and her forbidden test had single-handedly prevented the loss of nearly 2 dozen aircraft, and more importantly, the lives of the pilots who would have flown them. She was immediately given a commendation, the ban on the pencil line test was lifted, and in fact adopted as a factory-wide procedure, and she was celebrated as a hero. Clara never sought the spotlight. She simply returned to her station, her pencil sharper than ever. She went back to her rivets and her lines, knowing that the smallest, most meticulous attention to detail can sometimes be the difference between victory and catastrophe. Her story remains a powerful reminder that true vigilance often comes from the lowest ranks, and that sometimes the simplest tool, like a pencil, can be the sharpest weapon in the fight for survival.